Welcome back to the Budget Gamer channel, where we've got your indie games covered, and today we're going to be looking at the Nintendo Switch's most recent fighting game. And while fast reflexes and memorization of long button chain combos might take you to the top in a regular fighting game, in Fight of Gods a strong sense of humor might take you even further. Fight of Gods, similar to the theme of Mortal Kombat, is set up as a tournament for the strongest fighters ever. However, we're not really counting piddly mankind here. This is a fight for gods. And in this Fight of Gods, various gods from various cultures and from past to present can all take part in the combat to see who reigns supreme. And whether it's the god of Christianity, the god of Buddhism, the god of the Vikings, or even the god of capitalism himself, it will be up to you to test your combat skills and find out who's on top. Because it was originally released in 2017 on Steam, you may have heard of the game before, but if you haven't, some of the reviews you might be reading, if they're older, are going to note about its rough graphics and kind of choppy combat. However, as we can see, the new version released on the Switch is highly polished, and the graphics, whether it's in the loading screens or in the character sprites themselves as they're fighting on screen, are clear and crisp regardless of if you're playing in handheld or docked mode. And while I'm definitely not on any sort of pro status in the fighting game genre in general, I do have a bit of experience in the area, and I did feel that the combat was actually really solid. And having the potential for endless combos was pretty amazing, and it definitely saved my butt on more than one occasion. As mentioned before, in Fight of Gods, you play as a variety of gods from different cultures and different eras. And while initially I was actually thinking this would have been a more irreverent South Park-ish kind of fighting game, I was actually pleasantly surprised to find out this wasn't exactly the case. Each character in the game is based on myth and lore and religious texts, and even has a dedicated bibliography for each one of their backstories. Likewise, their movesets and special moves are based off of their mythology. And in one way or another, I actually found that real connection to a character and its abilities to a real-world context to be kind of refreshing. And in some weird way, it made the characters a lot more believable than some of the characters you play as in other fighting games. But moving on, characters are divided into three classes, whether that's close range, mid range, or long range combat. And while it seems that their special abilities definitely adhere to this close, medium, or long range combat dynamic, even pitting CPU against CPU on very hard mode, I found it difficult to find any imbalance. The combat seemed really well designed, and even with endless combos possible, it never felt like you could get completely backed into a corner. Blocking and combo breaking and countering are also things, so if you're used to a Tekken-like system of medium, light, and heavy blows, as well as grabs, counters, and blocks, you may feel right at home with the combat system in Fight of Gods. However, if you are new to fighters, there is a practice mode where you can get a handle on your character's combat, and not only is there an easy access menu to show what each of the character's combos are, but probably my favorite thing about this game and what I wish more games would do is that every single key is remappable. So whether you're a fan of Street Fighter, Tekken, or Mortal Kombat, and you have your own controller layout that you're most comfortable with, you can remap your keys to match that. And additionally, even though playing through the game is definitely good for a laugh, it's a pretty solid fighter with some good replayability. The game isn't merely PvP, but there's also a campaign mode which allows you to get access to certain character unlockables. Each playable character has 6 skins, 2 of which you start out with, but 4 that need to be unlocked by beating the game on various levels of difficulty. This being beating the game on hard mode, on very hard mode, and on very hard mode without dying. So of course with my skill level, I'll probably never ever in the history of the world know what that last unlockable skin is for any of the characters, but I do love unlockable character skins, especially for PvP, because it just kind of shows which character you like the most, and how much better than your friends you are with that character. So my boy Anubis and I are probably going to try and crush the game at least a couple more times. But getting back to the actual game, just like the variety of gods from different eras and cultures, the backgrounds for the game's settings are also based in mythology. Being able to play through a multitude of settings that are kind of dedicated to the lore behind each of these gods, you'll encounter areas such as Valhalla or the Garden of Eden, and other mythological locations, each with their own dedicated background music. And the North Pole, even though possibly a little bit annoying because I absolutely hate Christmas music, was a hilarious setting to fight as Santa Claus in an epic battle for godlike supremacy. And please don't flame me for this, because I know this game does require a bit of a sense of humor and some flexible morals to really enjoy. But I really enjoy this game, and I'm not even a huge fan of fighters. And while I do acknowledge that there's a lot of political charge and a lot of ideological imbalance between fighting gods from different cultures, if you can take it with a grain of salt, this really can be a pretty fun fighter. But anyway, that about wraps up the review of Fight of the Gods, now released on the Nintendo Switch. So if you enjoyed the review or found it helpful, feel free to throw me a like or a comment to show your support, and don't forget to click that little bell icon when you subscribe to stay updated with the latest content. As you can see, new and unique indies are coming out literally every day, so there's always going to be something new to find right here. But anyway, this has been Budget Gamer, so as always, thanks for watching.